Thank you and good afternoon. Very pleased to be here. Thank you for inviting me to this, uh, moderating this session on crafting corporate climate action. Now, that brings my longtime friend and professional associate Anirban on the stage. And very pleased to be introduced to Brajesh, who is currently leading sustainability initiatives, right, with H&M, right? So that's the brand and supply chain. So I have, though a lot of more people were expected, I think, since we have sort of kind of found ourselves with three of us. So let's make this into a discussion, and I guess a lot of people had to sort of drop out. But let me start with Brajesh. This is a session on corporate climate action, and H&M is one of the largest apparel brands, and therefore, as we talk about sustainability of such corporates who spread across the world, they sell a brand, and therefore, how do you manage this implementation or even measurement of sustainable climate action across ESG? Floor is yours. Feel free. Please let us know.
Thanks, Dr. Dhruva, for a question, and fellow panelists. And very good afternoon to all the participants of this event. So, yes, H&M is a fast fashion brand, and also terms are like most sustainable fast fashion brand globally. And we have started our journey for the sustainability activity through the benchmarking of our data. So we are working globally with more than 2,000 suppliers. They are manufacturing for us. And India, we can say more than 150 suppliers are there. They are manufacturing our apparel and other products for us. So H&M, we have kind of DNA of a sustainability so that we can retrieve all their ESG related data, and from the cradle to the production basically. So it's not like that we are touching upon few topics. We are touching all aspects of sustainability, even the environmental sustainability, social and governance. So we are hand-holding our suppliers also to robust their sustainability roadmap. And we started this journey through the creation of the roadmap of our suppliers. So how they will achieve our target, and are through the benchmarking from the data of our suppliers. So I'll give you some example of India as well as the global also. So H&M having target to reduce the carbon footprint by 2030 by 56% in overall supply chain from the base year of 2019. So how this came in the picture, like how come minus 56%, why not 80% or why not 20% only? So we have done the back calculation of all our supply chain and collected the data, and based on that we understood what kind of the low hanging fruit and what kind of investment and what kind of action our supplier can do on behalf of H&M to upgrade themselves. So based on that we fix our target, and we are thankfully and thanks to all of our suppliers, we are at 30% already achieved. We are minus 30%. Done by 2024. Though we are helping our supplier for green investment also. Like H&M having a plan of the green investment, so we help our supplier through the different mechanism, whether from the H&M side green investment or connect with the some banking partner to give them loan, debt or equity to help them to upgrade their environmental and other sustainability journey. So, and also we have different platform where we encourage our supplier to enroll themselves to upgrade their ESG journey.
Thank you, Brajesh, for taking us through H&M supply chain reduction in carbon footprint. Let me turn to Anirban. With the 3 decades and more than a decade that we have known each other in this, I would say, corporate, government, policy, markets, all of it, sustainability. corporate, why, in your view, and you can use your current academic hat too, in terms of why is corporate climate action important? Let's get to basics. Why is corporate climate action important? Private corporate.
10 years ago in The Guardian, there was a number that said 100 corporations of the world contribute to 71% of all emissions. If that number is not enough to explain why corporate climate action is important, I could tell you 20 other numbers, it won't give you a bigger story. So
Right.
corporate climate action is
Right.
important.
So can I come in? So this is the establishment of saying there is private corporate with your years of sustainability at Mahindra. The question is, do you, and Brajesh, feel free to come in. Do you see a conflict or do you see an alignment between corporate climate action, which means lowering carbon footprint, S1, S2, S3 et al., shifting it to whatever that needs to be done, we all know. Is there a conflict between corporate objectives and climate action? Is it going to happen? Is it going to lead up that path? Assuming 70 out of 100 contribute to, as a Pareto, to every emissions across the world.
Is there a conflict? Short
Or is
answer-
there an alignment? Sorry, both ways.
Short answer is no. Now, actually it depends on what is the lens through which you look at climate action. The biggest thing that's happening because of the effort to go green is a technological transformation in multiple industries. And this technological transformation is such that the new products or the new businesses are infinitely superior to the old ones. And if you as an organization chose, as usually happens in an industry, not to get on to the new green product service bandwagon, your chances of becoming obsolete or less competitive are very high. You'll obviously want one or two examples. So the biggest business in the Mahindra group is the automotive business. If we don't get into electric mobility, if we don't get into hydrogen trucks, I don't think we will be here 10, 15, 20 years from now. We have a construction business. If we don't build green buildings, net zero energy buildings or whatever, very soon we will be struggling to keep up with legislation which will come from the government, because it is imperative that every building that we build in future is green. Now, if you look at corporate climate action, the biggest part of corporate climate action, not about becoming net zero in your operations, but for building solutions that enable society at large to become net zero, then there is no way corporate climate action can be at loggerheads with whatever you choose to call it.
Can I just push you a little further? Sorry.
Go right ahead.
Corporate objectives. So we conclude here. We're making it a chat. Please feel free to come in, Brajesh. I'm just kind of pushing this a little further because this is about driving corporate climate action. And here is it that the future is green. You have to adapt products, services, markets, EVs, hydrogen. So therefore, there is, at some point of time, there is government policy and regulation coming in and the business responding. Have I got you right? If I've got you right, the question, therefore, the next follow-up question to you is, and why did I ask you whether, so if I shift yourself to, if you were to be you were a steel procurer, if I shift you to be a steel producer or a procurer, will you buy green steel?
We were the first in the world to commit to buying green steel as part of the First Movers Coalition. Probably Emily was still a part of WEF when this happened. We went ahead and said yes, we would, because we think it is inevitable in the long run, and therefore signaling that if the suppliers were to move towards green steel, they would find buyers was important for us. So we did so. If the green steel turns out to be thrice as expensive as regular steel, will we buy at scale? No. because then we won't be there to buy anymore if we start doing things like that. So there is an economic logic to the whole thing about how this gets phased out. But you know, in our business school studies, they taught us about this S curve that is there. Whenever there's a new technology or a new industry, initially costs will be high, it will go through a process, there will be early adopters, and the costs will come down over time with scale, evolution of technology. So you'll always need the early adopters to be there for the market to take off. And we are quite happy to be the early adopters in almost any space when it comes to climate action.
Thank you. So the S-curve will come into play. I was just about to come to you and say that would you or your corporate or otherwise representing the industry, when we talk of procurement, it comes into scope 3, which is basically scope 3.1. So is there a premium for your supply chain? Is it a cost accretion or it's a value addition or some of both or somewhere we are intersecting? How do you make this happen through force, through natural compliance? Is there a regulation or you are a buyer, therefore you have market power? Where are you coming from?
Thank you. So, related to the cost consciousness, market is very competitive, and I agree with sir also, our customer will not pay the premium rate if we do twice and thrice of the normal rates. But still, our late millennials and Gen Zs are quite eco-conscious now. And if we give little bit of, they are agreed to pay little premium price as well of our products. And same we are doing with our suppliers, our manufacturers also. First we are scrutiny our suppliers, consciously, whoever they have good in the carbon intensity, energy intensity, water intensity, we are selecting them to be our partner to work with them. And also we are giving the premium price to invest in their sustainability journey so that they can furthermore enhance their sustainability performance and mitigate their climate effect from their operations and the supply chain overall.
So this need for scope 3 compliance for you is arising out of a response to what? Why is H&M responding? Is it markets, financial markets? Is it government regulation? Is it shareholder value created out of green? What is your... See, the question is there is a supply chain which you drove, but I'm kind of driving back at why H&M is acting. What is driving? Because Anirban said this is a value creation in the future, otherwise it will erode. It is green businesses. That's the next subject that we'll discuss after ESG. Yeah.
Same thing for H&M also. If we will not in the sustainable market, our product will not have the value, will not have our customers. So that we are blending as much as possible the recycled material. We try to reduce all our virgin raw materials basically. And also it's in our kind of DNA, we are work on the government framework as well as a responsible brand. We always striving for the future ready brand so that in next 10-20 years, whatever the policy frameworks and regulation will come, we'll ready to face those things. I'll give you one example, European market is thinking about the CBAM implementation or the EUDR or the DPP implementation. So H&M is now future ready, though it's not applicable for the garments and fashion industry, but we are future ready to face those requirements, and we can any moment we can implement in our supply chain.
Thanks, that's very important. Let's shift to what we got as guidance in terms of saying, if we shift our attention to India overall from corporate climate action, just wanted views from both of you on the ESG framework that we see existing today, the ESG disclosure, BRSR, ESG ratings. How is this journey from top 1,000 NSE listed entities going further, scope 1, 2, 3 being good to do as of now. How does this shape up, Anirban? What's your kind of
This
take
is an
on this?
important story. It's something that must happen, but this is not the big story.
This is not the
ESG, BRSR, this is not sustainability.
This is not so.
This is just mentioning what is it that we are doing at this point in time, maintaining some kind of a scorecard, baseline, so you can keep improving. If you do very good ESG, if you supposedly do very good ESG and do very little else, you are not being sustainable. So, and it's the same story for sustainable reporting. So, reporting is telling people the good things that you're doing or sharing with them the goals that you're setting for yourself. The real sustainability action is the action that you're taking and asking the question, what is it that will be considered as being meaningful action? So we've solved that problem. We understand that we've got to reach a situation where greenhouse gases in the atmosphere cannot continue to increase the way they are. We've set our goals, we know where we need to go. We ask this question of ourselves. What is meaningful action? Is mentioning a bunch of initiative taken meaningful action? And we reached a conclusion that the only logical place is to get to being net zero. Whether you know how to do it or not today doesn't matter. You've got to start figuring out a way of getting to net zero. This is when it comes to the greenhouse gases and air pollution. You can take this logic and apply it to other spaces, so-called spaces of sustainability, like what is meaningful action in, let's say, being water sustainable. So we took on two kinds of metrics. We said at one level we will harness more water than we produce. But that actually is really not the biggest story of water sustainability. The biggest story of water sustainability is how much water productivity can you enhance? And can you get off the grid of fresh water and not have to take water from the municipality? If you have the means and the ability to do so, if you have the space to harness water, would you want to do it or not? That is real sustainability. I could go on about every single area of sustainability, but I'll close by saying just one thing, that if this greenhouse gas problem did not exist, we would not be talking about sustainability, and everything else that we talk about sustainability would not get the kind of a stage that sustainability gets today. Because most of it is old hat. The social sustainability, equality, equity, harassment, safety, these are things we've been doing for a very long time. The governance story of transparency, stakeholder well-being, again, things we've been doing for a very long time. The new thing is this bit of managing the greenhouse gas emissions, ensuring that global warming does not happen, finding solutions for it, and therefore finding business opportunity to be competitive in the future.
Thanks a lot. I'm just coming to you. Thanks a lot. I'm just trying to kind of capture the entire paradigm of what Anirban explained very clearly and put it in a statement is ESG regulation is a disclosure and reporting, reports to the world, informs to markets, informs to stakeholders, but does not necessarily drive climate action, sustainability at the core. Social governance was always there for ages. This is the new thing. Yeah. So does ESG correlate driving corporate sustainability? Should it help? Should it align?
Yeah, so I believe now the sustainability action basically, now the stepping out from the boardrooms and report papers, and we are experiencing the real action, on-ground action nowadays, and a lot of business owners and corporates are investing in the real sustainability change, whether it's like social sustainability, community development, or the change in their governance framework, on the change in their environmental parameters. So it's really they are working on ground, and also we experience this climate change, and is not like a local issue. And it's like global problem, global issue, and until unless we not collaborate, whether it's private agencies, their government agencies, their corporates and business owners are there, if they will not collaborate together, they can't solve these global problems. And now come to the ESG disclosure. Yes, I agree with Mr. Ghosh. It's not like a kind of mandatory requirements already there, available. The few parts are already available. Few parts are we are doing from the regulatory compliance. Few things we are doing from the voluntary requirement from the brands and the stakeholder or investors requirements. But all this sum together is came and the kind of reporting framework, etc. Whether it's like BRSR format or the GRI or CSRD format is there. Everything is talking about same thing. You have to take the overall collective sustainability action.
Thanks. The last part, starting going back to you, Anirban, once again, what are the green businesses? So we talk of green economy, green business. You also mentioned, because this problem wouldn't have been there had we not ran into this GHG emissions and temperature rise related to it. What businesses does it throw up? We have mentioned a few. What businesses does it throw up? Is it, we come from various worlds, is it an opportunity? It is a crisis converted to an opportunity for business? Your views, please.
Yeah, I could break your question down into 4, but even if I did, I'm an old man, I would forget what all the 4 were. So let me just attempt to answer the question this way. Before being businessmen, we all have a certain human role to play. And as human beings, we know that we need to ensure that the earth remains a comfortable place to live in. And how to get there is pretty much known to everyone by now. As businessmen, our role is to find that path and make it happen and provide the green solutions, and I'll give you some examples to do that. All this business of reporting, regulations, etc. are different levers used by different stakeholders to enable other recalcitrant stakeholders to move along. Right? Because it's not as if all of us embrace change and want to change automatically from state X to state Y. We've seen enough examples of this in history when it comes to technology, strategy, various industries and so on. All of us have heard examples of Kodak and Nokia and this and that. Climate is just another context in which the same thing is playing out. Now when you look at it like that, in every industry, as technology evolves, this is obviously an opportunity. And like I said before, if you don't go along with the evolution of technology, you will soon be obsolete. So what really is green business? You know, if you look at the Mahindra Sustainability Framework, on the right-hand pillar, which deals with profit, the first bullet point says grow green revenue. The question you're asking me is the same question the executive board asked me, what is green revenue? Do we have any green revenue in this business? Well, we took a simplistic definition. We said any business we are in where the product meets consumer requirements but causes less harm to the environment is greener revenue than what we had before. And we must of course keep trying to make it greener. So in our set of businesses, for automotive, direction, go electric. For water, go micro-irrigation. For construction businesses, build green buildings, move towards net zero as quickly as you can. For our holidays business, every place should be platinum certified. Every location should be such that we should be able to do 100% renewable energy and get to net zero if we can. If we can on a location basis, great, otherwise at least as a business basis. A green steel would be green revenue for the future. So any new technology, any new business, any new process where we meet consumer requirements and do not cause as much harm to the environment as we are causing now. Every action that we take where pollution goes down, water productivity increases, energy productivity increases, and so on, material productivity increases. In fact, I don't know whether H&M is into this already or not. Very soon you and I will be wearing clothes which have fibers from, say, banana or some other natural source. right? Will consumer pay a premium? All consumers never pay a premium for anything. But there are always consumers who pay a premium for a new product, a better product, till it goes mainstream. Are there people like that? Plenty. At my university, I have young kids who are initiating startups who want to get into this bamboo-based fiber for textiles. So actually, if you get me started on green solutions and green products for the future, it's a fascinating topic for me because we keep looking for opportunities like that. And now in this thing in India where everything becomes a startup, we see a lot of this happening, especially in the city of Hyderabad where I stay in right now.
Thanks. I'll come back to you. I don't know how much time I have. Sorry, anybody from the audience? 5? Oh yeah, 4 minutes. Okay, sorry, I couldn't see that. Yeah, just coming to you, the same thing. Where is the business opportunity that you see from your perspective on saying this is the green growth, green business, green revenue? And it just coming to him. I'll come back with the last question which I have. Just a minute or a minute and a half. Because
for this green, definitely green itself having kind of extra premium nowadays, like customers and people are understanding in that way, but not all green are the extra premium. Like sir has given example of the banana fibers. Yes, we are working with the banana fiber, we working with the orange peel of leather, like and also the hemp and the bamboo fibers we are blending with the textile, so that the footprint of the normal cotton, that is the more CO2 intensive products, that can be reduced as much as possible. And also everyone, like in H&M, we believe like in Hindi one proverb is like avashyakta hi aviskar ki janani hai. It's definitely the necessity is need of like invention. So whenever it's coming, we are doing that sort of invention. Recently, even 2 weeks back, we have started one project with Arvind Textile in Ahmedabad. So that is the waterless dyeing. Normally the dyeing process is the highest water intensive process in our manufacturing. So that, and we have installed the CO2 based dyeing. We are going to replace water from the CO2 media. We'll capture the synthetic CO2 from some other byproduct of the industry and use those synthetic CO2 in the media in the place of water. And it's reduced almost 80 to 95% of the water in our supply chain.
thank you. One last question for both of you is, I get the directions or sort of the vector that both of you are indicating. I have one last question on climate corporate action. Spoke ESG, we spoke need for climate action, we spoke green business. One last thing is, I think both of you alluded to the fact that it is reduce emissions, 1, 2 and 3, whichever. Reduce emissions. GHG emissions, primarily carbon dioxide. The question here is, should, therefore, now when it is, shouldn't there be a financial metric so that you don't face, the boards don't ask you that question, is it shareholder value addition or is it shareholder value erosion? How do you make that ends meet? I'm talking of carbon pricing.
You will always be asked that question. Because if you disregard that question, you're probably going to upset the entire economic model, and I don't think we have an alternative to the economic model we have. So certain things you will have to deal with. What does that mean? It just means that the pace at which we will progress will get, or the pace at which we will accelerate will get determined by the economic feasibility of solutions. Now, normally in a laissez-faire economy, the government would not step in. But you know, the funny thing in climate action is businesses say government should do regulation and government says that business should take care of it. It's exactly the opposite that happens in other business fora. So why do we want government intervention? I mentioned the S-curve earlier. Normally, to go from the initiation of a technology to the growth stage of the industry could take anywhere up to 30 to 40 years time.
We don't have that time.
Every single industry has gone through that cycle. Overnight successes are usually 30 years old before we discover them. But in climate action, we don't have that time. We need to accelerate it. And this is why Germany did what it did with solar panels, brought costs down for everybody. This is why India did what it did for LED lights and so on. Hopefully we will find ways like this to accelerate green steel and accelerate electric vehicles, accelerate storage, accelerate bamboo fibers in clothing, accelerate every other climate solution that is possible.
Time's up. Thank you very much. Thank you both of you for this great discussion.